Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show here. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Certainly for Tampa Bay sports, it was a great weekend. And we got the Combine starting today up in Indianapolis. And USF wins their first ever conference title, just to share now, but they've got a 3-game lead with 3 to play. I'm pretty sure they're going to wrap this up by themselves. So we got lots to get into today. Good morning to you, Nick Geddes from On3 Sports. How are you?
I am doing well. Oh, my goodness. I am doing well, yes. Beautiful day, cold, chilly, all those things. And, yeah, it was a good weekend for the Lightning.
Yeah.
And then the Rays getting spring training underway.
Yeah.
A little tease for the season right there.
Yeah, there was Rays baseball on TV yesterday, Lightning on TV yesterday. I was out enjoying the wonderful golf weather yesterday, which was just absolutely fantastic. We had the Gasparilla Invitational at Palmacia this week, which brings in the top amateurs in the nation. The winning score, I think it was -1 on a 6,200-yard course. That when the wind blows and the greens are running at 13 on the stimp meter at Palmacia, even the best players, the best amateurs in the world will struggle. It's amazing to watch, but it was a fantastic tournament. So the members get to play the day after in the same setup. Not easy at all. But boy, this is the time of year to play golf. It is absolutely fantastic. So we hope you guys are enjoying the outdoors. And we got spring training all of March. I mean, this is the time to be in Tampa Bay.
And you seem to be running around all weekend. I don't know what your mileage on your car looked like after this weekend, because I couldn't follow you. I'm trying to keep track. You're at Billy
doing
Joel.
Laps. I'm doing
You're
laps.
at Billy Joel. You had Lightning duties on Thursday, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you played golf and everything in Palmacia.
Yeah.
You're just everywhere.
Yeah, I-4 is not my friend lately. It's just, I mean, traffic in general. I think at the Billy Joel concert, thousands and thousands of people couldn't get in because the parking lots were all jammed up, and they had over 60,000, and I guess everybody decided to get there late, and it doesn't work. That it's not like, it's interesting because Bucks games, like, everybody knows where they're parking, right? Everybody knows like when they need to get there. Everybody knows how to get in and get out. So it's like it's so quick. Doesn't matter how big the crowd is. I get out of Raymond James. Now, granted, I leave like 45 minutes, an hour afterwards. But even getting in, it's just easy. But for concerts, totally different. Totally, I don't know if they have different staff or whatever, but totally different. It's just hard to handle that big of a crowd. But it's just the people don't know where they're going. So when the people don't know where they're going, it's a cluster sometimes. So they had some parking issues, but the show was great. Billy Joel was freaking fantastic. He sounds great. 74 years old, just belting it. Sting was kind of Sting. It's got some good songs. He just, not much of a showman. It's just kind of, it's Sting.
Nobody was there for Sting.
Yeah.
No offense to Sting.
Sting opening up for Billy Joel. Good really, 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 really good concert. So, so great weekend for sports. We'll get right into the Bolts because this was a huge weekend for them. I mean, these are two teams that they're chasing them in the wild card. You got 22 games left in this season. They're 4-point games individually, 8-point game, when you're talking about a wild card whole season. So to get all, essentially 8 points in this weekend was huge. I mean, they could have really, I don't want to say locked up, but really put themselves in a great position to get at least the last wild card. These were humongous results. You don't have to, get into the minutia of the math, but just trust me on this one. With the games dwindling, this was a huge weekend. And to go on the road, you're playing day games, which is weird. It messes up your entire routine. Everything was going against the Lightning, and two desperate teams that definitely have to win to get into, they had to have these games. And the Bolts come out with 4 points. I mean, I cannot underscore enough how big that was. And what's the key? 2 goals or less, right? 3 goals or less is where you're at, but 2 goals or less, you're going to win with this team almost every night. You're going with the skill on this team and the scoring skill, the power play. It's just you're going to get at least 2 to 3 a night. So if you can keep it down, you're going to win. And that's just it's a pretty simple formula. But when you're where they're still low 20 to 23rd, 22nd in defense, it's going to be tough to do that. That's not where you're normally at. So, but it just seems like, and we'll hear from Cooper in a second, it's about mindset. It's about mindset, and when they are dead set on keeping the puck out of their net, they do a pretty damn good job.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it was good to see that they can do it. Sometimes we forget, we seem to forget that, or we lose sight. Like, hey, can they still even do this? Can they play this way? Can they shut it down in the third period when they have a 1-goal lead, or a 2-goal lead? And that's kind of what I needed to see out of this game, specifically yesterday against New Jersey. And I would go on and tell you, I think it was one of the best games they've played all year. One of the most well-rounded games. In fact, the only goal that went in for New Jersey, it was a fluky kind of goal. It went off Hedman's leg and in.
Yep.
That really was it. And they really needed to get 4 points, I think. Some will tell you, well, you need to get a split. No, I think they needed to get 4 out of 4.
No, I agree.
I really did.
I agree.
And who was leading the way? 86. I mean, he goes out on this road trip here, this 2-game road trip, and puts up 7 points on back-to-back nights.
Yep.
7 points, including 4 yesterday. He was involved in absolutely everything. He's up to 101 points now, which is just insanity.
That's the fastest to get to 101 since McDavid, I believe.
Yes, him and McDavid are the 2 only guys to get there this quick in like the last 25 years. Yeah. And this is his 4th 100-point season already. I mean, and the stats of everything to come out of this game is just crazy. I mean, team-centric wise, 4 straight road wins for the Lightning. They haven't done that in 2 years. I mean, that's another thing that we don't want to gloss over is this team has struggled. This team has struggled to win on the road. Yeah. Specifically this season. And I think it's funny. They lose 3 at home. Yeah. Where they usually play really well. And then they go out on the road and they were able to make it up. We did not really see that coming.
And the 3, at least the last 2 that they lose at home, they're just flat. They're just flat. There's no energy, even though the crowd's going. You're at home. Yeah. Weird.
Yeah. The word you've been using lately is stale.
Stale.
And it definitely had appeared like that. But this is why it's hard to write this team off, is because the high-end talent on this team. I mean, when you have 86 going and 21 going, and I'm throwing 38 up in there. Brandon Hagel, and he's the second big stat of the day. And listen to this, JP. He's on a 14-game point streak or something like that now. Yeah. But even if you go back to January 1st, since the calendar flipped over, he's got 26 even-strength points. The only player with more than him is Connor McDavid.
Wow.
So Brandon Hagel doesn't do any. He doesn't put up any. He doesn't play on the first power play. He has to get all his 5v5, and he's been the second best 5v5 player in the NHL since the calendar year turned. And 86, 21, and 38, that line. I mean, they carried them to those wins. Yep. They legit carried them to those wins.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what you're going to see moving forward. Gives them a little bit more depth in scoring, I think. A little bit harder as a team to play against and match up against. But, this Kucherov is he's having an MVP season. I don't know how you can we know how this works in hockey, where most of the writers and, the people that vote for these things are very, Northern centric, Toronto centric. Right. And, the Lightning have, they got to struggle to get past a lot of, long seated biases, which should not be the case. The numbers are the numbers, and even, the numbers are the numbers for Kucherov. But even if you turn on the tape, it's even more dominant. It's even more dominant because we say this almost every game. But we do a post game, Brian Engblom and I. Well, Kucherov could have had 3 more goals tonight. I mean, he scored. His point totals are ridiculous. But honestly, you go back and look at all the high danger chances that he's created, and some of the shots that he's missed, and I know that happens to everybody, but it's just it's dominant hockey.
He's 30 years old, and he's getting better.
Oh yeah,
he is getting better. Like, he's always been like a great player and everything, but now he's turned it into like dominant, and he's so dominant, and like just the vision. We always talk about it, how he's just one step ahead. And
Yeah.
it's like you watch him on the ice and he ends up in one place and you just don't understand what he's doing. And then the puck just magically finds him. Or the play yesterday for Hedman where he just gets open, he just kind of walks inside the slot there and he draws like 3 defenders to him. And then it's like the pace that he puts on this little touch pass to Hedman.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's so small and minute kind of a thing, but most guys can't do it that way.
No.
Like he does.
No, most guys can't do it like he does all the way around. And is this fair to say? In years past, there would be certain games where it just like he would disappear.
Right.
He would just like, where was Kucherov today? It occurs to me that maybe this having this offseason for the first time in forever has given him a little bit more jump in his legs and been a little bit and that's what we're seeing now is that he shows up every night.
Well, he has to.
Yeah.
He actually
that's
has
true
to
too.
for this team because he's accounting for like 50% of all their production.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So I just think that's different this year. And that's not a knock on his play. It's just I think maybe in other years past, teams have, kind of taken him out of the game early on. And then maybe he kind of shrinks a little bit. And when that happens,
he would play a little passive sometimes.
Yeah, be passive. Right. Be passive. That's a great word. He's not passive this year. It's like he's constantly on the attack, constantly move. That little move behind the net. I'm trying to think. He's so many damn scoring plays he's involved in. That he goes behind the net on the forecheck, and the defenseman thinks he's alone. The next thing you know is Kucherov. Not only does he show up out of nowhere, but then he just takes the puck away from him so effortlessly and so smoothly, and then dishes it right back in front for an assist. I mean, it was just like if you're the defenseman, you're just like, what just happened? Like, how is that in the back of the net? I just had this puck pinned behind the net, and next thing I know, it's in the back of my net. What the hell just happened? Kucherov. That's what just happened. The ghost of Kucherov just came and took the puck away, and it's in the back of your net. He's just so good at that.
And it's really, you talk about the MVP thing. It's nothing against the other 2 players that are going for it, by the way. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Nathan MacKinnon, what he's doing is not special. But you know what? When it comes to the thinnest of margins like it is, Nikita Kucherov is just kind of outdoing what McKinnon's doing. They're both on the same kind of parallel, but Kucherov continues to just top him. So that's why Kucherov, to me, gets the nod over him. I don't ignore what Austin Matthews is doing in Toronto, and I know the league isn't forgetting it either. He's got 52 goals in 56 games. Yeah. I mean, he's probably going to score 70 goals this year, right? That's incredible. And
if he hits 70 and it's Austin Matthews and it's Toronto, I think we all know what's happening there.
I mean, it's Kucherov. I know he probably doesn't even care about those things, but
he doesn't.
In the sense of the MVP race, he has to as well because those 2 guys are going to be dominant night in and night out as well.
Yeah, and he'll probably have to win the points race by at least double digits to get the MVP. Over Matthews if he scores 7.
And even listen to this. This is my last big stat right here. And shout out to Chris Kren, who works with the Lightning, who always has these great stats ready. Yeah. This was his 16th 3-point game of the season. And in those games,
think about that.
16 3-point games. And in those games, he's racked up 56 points. There are only 28 players who have recorded 58 points all season. He's recorded 58 points in 16 3-point games. Try to process that information real quick. That's 58 points in a 16-game sample right there.
That's a lot. His numbers are just off the charts. And, and more than that, it's just such a joy to watch him play. He's just, when you turn on sports, you want to see something special, right? Each and every time you want to see an athlete that just does something that you can't do, but also very few people on the planet can do. And you see that from Kucherov on a nightly basis. It's just, he leaves you breathless and you're just like, what? How did he do that? And can you imagine, have you ever played, I've played basketball with some really good point guards. If you've ever played and you've played with really good point guards, all you got to do is just get to a point on the court, because I kind of liken this to basketball. I never played hockey. Just get to a point on the court where you love your shot. Whether it's a wing three or, down on the block, whatever is your shot. All you just had to get to your spot, and he's going to find you. He's going to find you. And it's such a joy to play with people like that. It's not something that, people would think, oh, if you're open, you should get the pass. To be able to see and the way he anticipates is just, like that play I'm talking about. I think he fed Hedman for the shot. Before he steals the puck, he knows where he's going with the pass. So as soon as he got it, he just flipped it right to the slot where he knew his guy was going to be, and it's in the back of the net. And it's just like, yeah, that happens all the time with Kucherov. And if you play with him, if you're Braden Point or Hagel, you're just like, man, I'm not going to say it's easy, but you just know, get to your spots, get to an open area. And even if there's three guys between you, that puck's going to be on your stick in a matter of seconds, if not milliseconds. And just, you got to bury it. And that's what they're doing right now. All right. You want to hear from Coop?
Yeah, let's fire up Cooper here.
All right.
You get tired of talking about Kucherov?
He's a special player, and it was never more evident than tonight. It was fun to watch.
John, what's worked for you guys with this 11-7 the past couple of days?
A lot of things have worked. I think first and foremost, it's our mindset and what it takes to win in the league and what it takes to win down the stretch. And when you're going to give up 2 goals a game or 1 goal a game, good things are going to happen. And we're just playing the right way. We're not cheating for offense. We're not beating ourselves, and that's something we've done. Especially in that homestand, we beat ourselves, and guys have made a conscious effort to make sure that's not happening. And you can see the results. We're playing the right way, and we're scoring 4 a night. And you do that and give up 2 or less, good things are going to happen, and that's what's been happening now.
How impressive is 102 points in 60 games?
Yeah, I've never really thought about it like that. That's
that's a lot.
I don't know how many times he's done it in his career, but I don't know if he's done it this fast. And you don't win in this league without being a team. One guy can't do it himself, but you do need a leader out there, and he leads in the locker room.
Don't fall on me, Coop.
We're circling the drain. Dun, 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 dun. The internet's been spotty this morning. I don't know about you, but mine's spotty this morning.
Yeah, let me take it off screen. I'll see if I can get it back here.
All right, let me hit you with the post game notes. This is I read these from time to time, but this just for fun. These are the notes on Kucherov. All right, recorded a goal and 3 assists, making his 5th 4-point game of the season. 5th 4-point game. Kucherov is up to 102 points this season. Became the 5th active player with at least 4 career 100-point seasons. Think about these numbers. I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you, but this is just like rarefied air. 5th active player with at least 4 career 100-point seasons. The others are Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, Alex Ovechkin, and Leon Draisaitl. This is royalty. Kucherov is one of 8 different players since the 92-93. That's a lot of years. That's 30 years. Just the 8th player, different player, to reach the 100-point mark in a single season in 59 or fewer games. Think about that in 30 years. Connor McDavid, 53 games played in the 2021 season and 56 in the 22-23 season. Is the only other active player to achieve the feat. Kucherov posted his 122nd career multi-assist game, surpassing Marty St. Louis for the most in Lightning history. He is the NHL's first player to 100 points for the second time in his career following the 2018-19 season. Only 8 other players in NHL history have also achieved the feat multiple times. Only 8 players in NHL history. Gretzky, Lemieux, Espo, McDavid, Yager, Lafleur, Sidney Crosby, and Evgeny Malkin. You want to talk about hockey royalty. And let me ask you, is Kucherov's name considered among those?
Not really.
No.
Not really.
No, it's not. And he should be. He should be. With all of these things I just read off, he's in rarefied air. Like everything he touches in terms of points and consistency, right?
Right.
Is in rarefied air. Listen to those names that I just mentioned: Gretzky, Lemieux, Espo, McDavid, Yager, Lafleur. I mean, these are the top 10 players in the history of the game. And Kucherov's name is in there among all of these streaks and numbers, but not given his due. Why is that? Because he's a surly, he can be a surly guy outwardly to the media. That's,
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk.
Right. So it just, that affects him in terms of national recognition, and just it is what it is.
But
and he doesn't care about that, nor should he. Quite
right.
frankly.
And I say this all the time about athletes. And this discussion typically came for MLB because for years Mike Trout was the best player in the game.
Right.
And if you went on to random people in the street and you asked them, hey, do you know who Mike Trout is? I don't know how many people were going to be like, yeah, I know who that is. And people would blame that on Mike Trout because he didn't want to be a part of that. Is
he a bass fisherman? Isn't he one of those
right.
bass masters? No.
Right. No. And people, I feel like, would like blame Trout for that because Trout didn't really want the spotlight.
Right.
And it's like, you know what? It doesn't say anywhere in your contract when you sign up to play a sport that you have to be marketable, that you have to do X and O. Your job is to play and to do your job on the ice, on the field, whatever it is. And Nikita Kucherov, this guy he's a hockey rat. That's all he is. He's a hockey rat from Russia who was a third-round pick, who was a little undersized, who came into a team that was already loaded with star power and became the best player on his team and right now the best player in the league. And if you even go back to, how the season ended last year, he's on a mission. Yeah. Remember, in June or July or whatever it was, way before the season began, guy was already on the ice in Brandon.
2 weeks after they were out.
After they were out,
and playoffs. And second round of the playoffs, he was back out on the ice.
Right. And I went back to the article that Chris Krin wrote on it, and there was a quote in here, and I don't even know if we even mentioned this at the time. He said, this is from Kucherov, you have to be obsessed with the game. You got to love what you do. I know some guys around the league who come in, do their workout, go home, and don't get on the ice until late August. Again, a reminder, this is in June.
Yeah.
Where's it at? Where's the second one here? To me, that would be the same thing as LeBron James not touching a basketball for 2 months. It would be like Lionel Messi going 2 months without touching a soccer ball. We play hockey. Why wouldn't we go on the ice? And now that I read that, given what we've seen for the first 60 games, it's just clear to me this guy was on a mission.
Yeah.
He is on a mission, and he still is on a mission trying to drag this team along to the playoffs and hopefully to some success after. That seems to me that he's taking that on because nobody else has the ability like him to do it. And clearly losing in the manner that they did it's almost the Brady thing. Like the losing has almost like made him want it even more. And listen, this is a guy that already has 2 Stanley Cups on his resume.
Right. Yeah. It's impressive stuff. It's impressive stuff. No question about it. Here's a couple other numbers. This on Hagel. Goal and assist extends his career-long point streak to 13 games. Recorded his third 3-point game of the season. He's got 58 points. His 13 consecutive has scored in 13 consecutive games, tied for the third longest such streak in Lightning history. Third longest scoring streak in history, and it's the longest active streak in the NHL. So, to your point, Hagel is putting up some numbers. And let us not go without mentioning Jonas Johansson, who had 18 saves. Seemed like he made about 30, though. I thought he was, especially in the first period, absolutely tremendous. And to do it after having not played hardly at all this year and in a long time, I thought was really, really impressive. I thought he was really good.
Yeah, he was. You knew that he was going to get the call here for this back-to-back, going into a tough environment. And that team was dead. I thought New Jersey, when the game started, I thought New Jersey actually had some of the momentum. They were really forechecking really well. And Johansson kind of steered him away at all costs. And like I said, the only goal he lets in was a little fluky goal on a power play, which was like the third power play goal the Devils have scored in like their last 50 chances or something like that. It was crazy. They showed it, and I'm like, how the hell have you only scored 3 power play goals in your last 50 opportunities? Meanwhile, the Lightning over here have like one of the top 5 power plays of all time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was it for Johansson. And obviously, even the day before against the Islanders, Vasilevsky, he was obviously much more tested because the Islanders got off almost 40 shots on net against Vasilevsky. But obviously, he came up big too. And that's what you need. I mean, moral of the story in these 2 games, you give up 3 goals in a 2-game span, you're going to win those games every single time. I mean, the Lightning don't have a scoring problem necessarily, but somehow you sit here today, they're like even though. When it comes to goal differential, and that's their
defense
problem.
Has been awful. It's been awful.
Right.
Yeah. And don't give up 9, by the way. That'll affect your numbers a little bit.
Don't give up 13 in the span of 2 days to the Panthers and then the Senators.
Yeah, at home. Yeah, no bueno. All right, we'll take our first break. By the way, we're doing a little pre-record this morning because I got to get to a press conference over at Feather Sound today as the Ladies International Tour LPGA is coming to Feather Sound. So we'll tell you more about that tomorrow. So if you're commenting today, we apologize. We won't be reacting to your comments because we're pre-recorded. But we still got 2 hours coming your way, or at least an hour and a half left. Quick break. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Scott Jeeves with that the Billy Joel concert the other day. So I'm sure he enjoyed that. We'll have him on the show coming up to kind of revisit the FSU lawsuit that he rightly predicted would go to a settlement. So looked like that's happening. But if you have any issues at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Accident, carbon, totaled, you have a problem with an insurance company, it's the Jeeves Law Group. Back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over years. He's chips. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation, and that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a Get Acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to Synovus.com to find out where your local branch is.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. You might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson show. JP's late coming out of this break, so I'll continue on here until he rejoins us. So obviously we wrapped up the Lightning discussion there. Oh, he's back. He's back.
All right, bathroom break.
Yeah, we had to come back without you, but we're all good. You missed it by 10 seconds. You're good. You're good.
My apologies. We're on a little different schedule this morning, so
the old body has to adjust
exactly
to a new schedule.
So now, we had breaks like the other station. That'd be no problem. I could go down to Starbucks and get a coffee at the same time. But no, it's only 3 minutes. So hopefully you guys can sit through those and enjoy some of our messages for our great sponsors. And we love them dearly. All right, so let's get into some of the other stuff, and we'll hear from we'll finish up with John Cooper in a couple segments away. When we revisit the Lightning, because I want to kind of look ahead to the rest of the schedule and where they're going. Because this is, they've got 22 games left, 22 games left.
Yeah,
and,
which I started thinking, like, when it comes to the trade deadline, why is the trade deadline so late in the NHL? Giving an acquisition less than 20 games to get in there. I think interesting to me.
I kind of like it because it everybody stocks up, and what it does do is it gets your best players into the playoffs every year, right? I mean, if there's Tarasenko is going to be in the playoffs this year. You're going to see the best players in the league will not that he's one of the best, but the names, any guys that can score, they're going to get moved, and they're going to be with a contender. So it does that. But yeah, it does change the balance of the team, and I think it's also a reason why you have so many surprises, right? And that's why eight seeded teams can make it to the Cup final, because those changes don't really take hold until the playoffs start. It takes 10 to 15 games for guys to get acclimated to their new surroundings and who they're playing with to really start playing at a high level. So I think it's interesting because it does really change the balance of power in a dramatic way a lot of times.
That's so true. We didn't, because even when the Lightning got Coleman and Goodrow in that haul before COVID, and yes, they had the benefit of they had the break, I guess, for a while, and then they came back. So I guess that's not a great example. But remember when they first got traded to Tampa Bay, it was all right, we gave up first-round picks for these guys.
Yeah.
They're not really doing anything.
Yeah.
And then they were awesome in the postseason. So, yeah.
Thank you, honey.
Look at you. You're getting
coffee service. It's, I'm luckiest man in the world. By the way, another happy birthday to the beautiful Ashley. We had quite the week. There was lots of happenings. So, birthday dinners. Went to Cheesecake Factory on Friday. I haven't been to the Cheesecake Factory in a while. Can I just say, that place, incredibly consistent, always great food, the biggest menu in the history of menus.
Yes.
If you want anything you want, the Cheesecake Factory's got it.
It's a good chain. It's a good chain. It's one of the better ones. Some people like to slander it a little bit. I'm not here for it.
I don't know why.
And genuinely, I'm not going to act like I have cheesecake from a million different places, but there's something about their just original New York cheesecake. It's my favorite type of regular plain cheesecake.
And how many different things can you have? What was that one we had, honey? With salted caramel, with the blondie brownie crust. A blondie brownie, salted caramel with this thick caramel at the top. And then the blondie crust was thick, but nice and flaky. The crust is everything for the cheesecake, right? The graham cracker crust, and their crusts are absolutely perfect, and everything holds together. Oh, and then the other thing we had was Mike's Pies for Ashley's birthday. We did a little thing at the Lightning game, and had my good friend Mike Martin, Gail Siren's husband, gave us a Mike's key lime pie. If you ever had a key lime pie, award-winning, wins every contest ever, greatest key lime pie you'll ever have in your life. And they have that graham cracker crust. Oh,
I'm like
so
notorious.
good.
I'm notorious for like being or at least my wife tells me I'm very picky apparently. And
you are picky.
Would you believe me
Yeah.
if I did?
Your generation
I never,
is very picky.
All right. Well,
food.
I live in Florida. I'm born in Florida. I never tried key lime pie until I was 19 years old. Never even tried it. And then I tried it, and I was like, what the hell have I been doing?
Yes.
For my entire life.
Yes.
It's in my top 5. It's in my top 5 pie now.
In Mike's pies, like, because key lime pie, if you go too sour, it ruins everything. It's the sweet sour mix has to be just perfect.
Yes.
And then you get the kind of hearty feel with a thick graham cracker crust. Oh, so good. So freaking good. If you like key lime pie and you haven't had a Mike's Pies key lime pie, you got to do that. That is on your bucket list. So yeah, so we had Cheesecake Factory, we had key lime pie, we had Billy Joel, we had hockey, we had golf. It's been a week. It's been a week.
You don't even want to know what I did on Saturday. Well, you're enjoying Billy Joel. Casey's a wedding planner as well to a teacher. So she left the house at like 9 a.m. She didn't get home till 1:30 at night because this wedding was in Clearwater.
Ooh.
Which, by the way, Mike Allstott was at this wedding. His son apparently was one of the groomsmen in the wedding.
Okay.
And she kept telling me first of all, she got his name wrong. She's like, Mike Allstott, do you know who that is? And I said, Allstott.
Okay, John Gruden.
Yeah, I'm like, it's Mike Allstott.
Mark Allstott.
I'm like, I dressed up as him for Halloween when I was like 4. Okay.
Right. Yes.
And she was bragging to me. She's like, I'm going to be near Mike Allstott all weekend and everything. And just, shoving it up to me. But anyway, so she was gone all day, and I got home at like 7 at night, and I turned on Amazon Prime Video, and I binged. I can't believe I'm saying this. Zoe 101.
What the hell is Zoe 101?
You would
what
know.
The hell is Zoe 101?
It was a sitcom on Nickelodeon it ran from like 2005 to 2008, and I had nothing else to do, and for whatever reason, I decided to binge watch a whole season worth of Zoe 101 episodes till like midnight.
You binge watched there was no sports to watch. You binge watch Zoe 101?
I binge watched Zoe 101 on my Saturday night.
Oh, well, you also told me, because I just have totally taken NASCAR off my radar for many reasons, but it's totally off my radar. And we had the greatest finish ever this weekend in Atlanta.
This is one of the all-time finishes. It was one of the best races I have personally ever seen, and that's consensus, by the way. They redid the Atlanta track. They repaved it, and it was very unpopular. Everybody's like, why are we repaving Atlanta? Why are we doing this? Well, now it's turned into like a hybrid of what you see at Daytona and Talladega, that type of racing.
Right. 3 wide?
Yes. And
you could never go 3 wide at Atlanta. You were telling me 3 wide finish. I'm like, at Atlanta, you can't do that. There's no room.
They went 4 wide a few times.
No way.
Went 4 wide a few times. And it was literally from lap 1. They had like a 16-car wreck on lap 2. From the moment that race started all the way to the end, it was chaos. There was only like 4 cars who were not involved in a wreck all day at some point. Everybody had tape on all over their cars and everything.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
It was madness. The cars were all close together. The racing was great. And then the finish, it was Daniel Suarez and Ryan Blaney, the defending Cup champion. They were side by side going into turn 3. And Kyle Busch, Blaney was on the low line and Suarez was on the high line. There was a little opening in between them. And Kyle Busch just takes his number 8 Chevy and just jams it right in the middle. And I mean, they stayed side by side through the corners.
Through the corners?
Through the corners, coming to the checkered line, and it's like there was no movement. They were like completely even, and the finish was so close they had to go to review to figure out who won. It was Daniel Suarez by 0.003 seconds. It was the 3rd closest finish in NASCAR history.
Crap.
It was unbelievable. I'm still buzzing about it. I put a NASCAR hat on this morning just because of it.
I see that, yeah.
It was fantastic. I wish we could get that every week because it felt like the old days of NASCAR.
Yeah. Yeah, I've given up trying to figure out how to make NASCAR great again. What is that? Make NASCAR great. We won't go there. Yeah, it does nothing for me anymore. I don't know why. I can't. I used to love it, just get into it, and it's one of those sports where the more you know, the more interesting it is. The more you know about the drivers and the cars and the setups, but the setups got so crazy, and then they try to make all the cars homogenous, and it just seemed like I don't know. I lost interest.
If you're not into NASCAR, I'll tell you what, it's one of the hardest sports to learn because it's not just, 4 turns of left, and everything like they say. There's so many like they had like some kind of rule with the pit road yesterday where like you had to be 90 miles an hour at this point, but then you had to get down to 45 at this point. And there were people wrecking, trying to get onto pit road and everything. Like it was just complete madness. Joey Logano, before the race started, he was supposed to start second, has to go to the rear because of his gloves. He got an infraction for his gloves that he was using to drive. And everybody was like, what the hell? And then you saw it. This man was like trying to wear like a soccer goalie glove, like and drive the race car. It was just like one of the most bizarre things we've ever seen.
Why would you do that? Is there an advantage?
I have no idea. It was like nobody's ever seen like the glove that he was wearing. It was like, what? It was just, but my point with saying that though is there's so many like tiny little details.
Yeah. See, and that's detrimental to the sport. Like nobody wants to see that. Somebody wants to see somebody get penalized for the size of their glove. That's dumb. I mean, I'm sure there's some, hidden reason for it, but it seems way over the top.
Yeah.
Way over the top. Imagine if you're betting on Joey Logano and then he gets penalized for too big a glove.
He got penalized. He had to go to the rear, and then he was also afforded a pass-through penalty through pit road, which he had to do at the start of the race. But it's like he outsmarted everybody because then there was the lap 2 wreck, and that occurred while he was doing his pass-through penalty. So he got the free pass, and he was back on the lead lap just like that.
Sometimes it works out for you. All right. So USF yesterday gets their 13th straight win, 79-68 over a very game SMU team. I did not see the game, but I read about the game, and I don't understand the game. How do you get out rebounded 27-4 on the offensive boards and out rebounded by 16 in the game and still win by 11 points? How the hell does that work? Well, I guess when the other team shoots 48% from the free throw line, that helps.
That's the game right there.
48%, while USF was shooting 90% from the free throw line. How do you shoot 48%? Like my 11 and under team, which by the way got a big dub on Saturday.
Nice.
Shoots better than 48% from the line. Like they're 11. What are we doing here?
Yeah, and they shot 25% from 3 as well. It's a bad recipe if you're trying to win a basketball.
Yeah, that's Brick City. Yeah, that's a lot of. But that's evidently this is what SMU. They're a big physical team, but they can't shoot very well at all, and that's gonna.
What stuck out to me about this again was the crowd. This was another sellout.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of. This FAU USF rivalry is starting to brew a little bit now that UCF is moved on.
I like it.
This rivalry is starting to become a thing, and I saw so many FAU fans who were like, "Yeah, that was your Super Bowl last weekend. That's why you sold out." And then USF came back and sold out the Sun Dome for SMU again, and the atmosphere. They did one of those things where they dim the lights and everything, and they put like the what do you call it, the flashlights on your phone and everything. Yeah, and they were doing like some swag surfing. It looked like in the
nice.
It just looked like it looked like an incredible. Yeah, it looked like an incredible atmosphere. And then they go out there and get another win. And Kayshawn Pryor, if you remember, he had that heater a couple weeks ago, and he kind of cooled off, but he gives them 19 points off the bench yesterday.
Nice.
He was great. 19 and 9 rebounds off the bench in 30 minutes. So he was awesome yesterday. They get contributions from multiple guys. That's the beauty of this team. And I would say that they're kind of surviving and advancing right now. Yeah. It's like they're already in tournament mode, and they have to be because there's no room for error for USF. They have to win the AAC tournament, or they're just not going to March Madness. Yeah, that's the tough reality.
People don't understand this. People don't understand this, but it is, the tournament, unlike the football CFP, which is completely corrupt and done, behind closed doors and all that stupid stuff, which I guess the NCAA is too, but it's much more transparent in how they get there. Like the numbers are the numbers, and you pretty much, that's why Joe Lunardi and some of these guys can predict what's going to happen so accurately, because they go by the numbers. And I think, you want to have a little bit of eye test in there. You always do. But when you have when you're playing 33 games in a season, 35 games in a season, you that's a pretty good sample size from a numerical standpoint to start getting some judgments on how good teams are, qualities of their wins, their quad wins, victory margin, things like that. All this stuff matters. And unfortunately for USF, their early season stuff was so bad that it's dragging them down. And they haven't had a lot of huge, they don't have a lot of highly ranked teams on their schedule. But the ones they have on there, they've beaten. They've gotten every W they've needed. But
they haven't played a quad one team all year, and I don't think they're going to either. So that's hurting them a little bit. And then they've gone 6-0 in quad, or 5-3 in quad 2, 6-0 in quad 3, and then 10-2 in quad 4, and that hurts them because they have those 2 losses in quad 4. And looking at the net rankings, which is one of these things they use to determine all this, they are moving up a little bit, but I don't know how they're up to 84, whereas last week they were at 91. But they started the season. The problem was they started so low, like they were deep buried into like the hundreds. Yeah. So there's only so much room you can go up if you're USF. That's the unfortunate way that it works. Whereas like even Florida Atlantic, I mean, USF got the win over them, and even though it was close at the end, I thought that was still a convincing victory at home. Well, FAU's 37 in that net ranking. Yeah. And they've played 2 games in the quad 1 and all that stuff. So even though USF might very well go on to win the tournament, and of course that would require them to outlast FAU again, probably. Yeah. FAU still might end up, if they both get into the tournament, FAU still might end up getting a better rank out of the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, how about this? What if USF wins the automatic bid? I think FAU gets in and at large.
Yeah, FAU probably seems already solidified, barring some crazy, like they start losing a bunch of games here, they're going to get in.
For a league that doesn't have a lot of money, wink, wink. FAU's getting in. You want 2 teams from your conference to get in the tournament? Okay. Do what the ACC does with their referees and make sure, it happens. What needs to happen happens. So unless Florida State's involved, let me give you that caveat. First of all, they're going to screw them no matter what every chance they get. So, but no, huge win for USF. Now they've got 3 games left with a 3-game lead. 3 games left with a 3-game lead. So they've assured themselves a share of the title, which is the first conference title in program history. Yep. That never. How long they've been playing basketball? Since the late 50s, 60s. Long time. They've been playing basketball at USF. I'm sorry, I meant late 60s. So late 60s they've been playing because the 1966 I think they were founded. I could be wrong on all that, but anyway,
1971 was their first season.
1971. Okay, there you go. So that it's been a while,
and they've only made the tournament 3 times, by the way.
Yeah. So this is a big stretch for them, and they're going to have to win this tournament. But you know what the good thing is? They know it. They know they're going to have to win the tournament to get in, unlike Florida State, who thought they just needed to go 13-0 and win their conference and win the championship game. This is it's a must. It's a must win. They know what they got to do, so go out and get it done. But it's, I'm not going to doubt them because they find different ways to win. Every, down 20, up 25, getting out rebounded, second chance points 39-4. I mean, you don't win games like that. They do. They find a way to win. And that was what really impressed me about the FAU game is they were up 25 and then it was down to 1, but they never panicked. They were very cool and calm in the at the end of game situations. They made every play they needed to make. They made the free throws that they needed to make. That's how that's how you win big games. And this team is seasoned and they feel like a very, very veteran team.
And I feel like
because they are.
And I feel like and they're not even thinking about this. This is just me now saying this. They have to maximize this opportunity this season because I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I know USF fans probably don't want to hear this, but I think this is fair game to say. Given the success that they've had this year and what Amir Abdur-Rahim has done both at Kennesaw State and USF, we know how this game works.
I know.
Amir Abdur-Rahim is going to be a hot head coaching candidate on the market for schools that are looking for a head coach. That's just the reality when you're playing in the AAC and it's a non power like USF is. So we don't know how long this is going to last. Now,
Right.
USF fans, I don't want you to. I'm just bringing this up because trying to focus. And I know because
they don't like it when you do stuff like this.
You should absolutely focus
like this.
You should absolutely live in the moment and enjoy this and everything. It's just that comes with the price of winning at a non-traditional power school. Is when you do that, your coach is going to be on the market, and who knows how long this is going to last. So I think that's why they have to maximize this opportunity.
Yep.
And you got to get in the tournament, and hopefully you make some noise, because who knows how long this guy's going to be here. Because I have to think top programs eventually are going to be calling this guy.
Yes, absolutely. And they get in the tournament, they're going to be like an 11 seed, that 11-5. They're going to be that 11-5 that everybody's going to take USF in their bracket. And they should, because they're a dangerous team. They know how to win. They do a lot of the critical things really, really well. And that's, in this time of year, you see the best of teams, just absolutely capitulate late in the games because they're young. So many of these highly ranked teams, they've got 3 freshmen and 2 sophomores on the floor because they're superstars, right? They're the one and dones, and these are the highest ranked teams. But come end of game situations, they're still 18, 19-year-old kids. Whereas, Kayshawn Pryor's what, 23, 22? Chris Youngblood, I think, is 22. He's a senior. They've got some seasoned players on this team. So, and even their young guys, like the point guard Reed is really, really composed in those situations. So I'm very impressed with USF. Big win for them. And they congrats on their first ever conference title.
Hey, I had another note on a college basketball today, because this was like the biggest debate all weekend long. I don't know if you saw Saturday, the Duke Wake Forest game, and Wake Forest pulls off the upset at home. And as you typically see, we got a court storming.
Yes.
And I don't know if you saw this debate at all, but the court storm, like, it happened like immediately, like when the clock hit 0, and then Duke's best player, Kyle Filipowski, he's literally still at midcourt, and all of a sudden everybody comes running in.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
And he gets injured, I believe, in this entire situation. And you even see some of the Wake Forest students, like one of them was trying to like push him in the back. It looked like one of the guy's knees connected with his face in this whole thing. And it's like sparked this debate of, does the court storming need to be put away?
I hate stuff like this because court storming is fun. It's fun.
Right.
Sports is supposed to be fun, especially college sports. It's the emotion. And here's the thing. Let's control the court storm. We can do this, folks. Let's control, because I saw it at the USF game the other day, and one kid comes onto the court. He's the only one that gets singled out by the cops, right? And he gets taken down and slammed down, and 4 cops on top of him getting cuffed. It just seemed excessive. I know you got to do it. I get it. I'm not criticizing law enforcement, but it's just like, and trust me, law enforcement doesn't want to deal with that. They don't want to do that.
Right.
So why don't we, games over, because if you tell the kids what the rules are, you got a much better chance of getting it executed, right? It's like, hey, come on, 2 minutes you're left or whatever. Like, the court storm will commence a minute after the game when the other players have left, and then you bring them on. Then just let them come on,
Right.
And then you get the dancing, and they can take their pictures and do their Instagrams and do it in a controlled manner.
Yeah.
Because the non-controlled stuff is going to keep happening. And if you keep trying to fight back, now we've got, we got to bring in extra police. We've got to have, 1,000 cops there with batons, and people are going to get heads crushed. We don't need that. It's a college basketball game. But let's just say, hey, could be, just come on and say, have a pre-recorded message. The court storm will take place at 1 minute after the game, or a minute, put time on the clock, right? And then people can come on the floor. There's probably some legal problem with that as well. Whereas, what if somebody gets hurt after that and you're sanctioning it? So, of course, that's
I think the easy thing to say is like at least give the road team an opportunity to get fully off the court.
Right.
They already lost the game anyway. They want to get out of there to begin with. Give them that little time, whatever that is, 10 seconds, 15, 30 seconds. It shouldn't take long.
Yeah.
And get them off the court, and then have your fun. This one, and that's usually what I typically see when it comes to these court stormings. But this one was like, I mean, these fan people are already running onto the court before the clock even hit 0.
That's no good.
And I guess I hate these discussions when they come up like, oh, we have to get rid of this now. It's like we've been doing this for how many years?
Exactly.
And it's become one of the best traditions in college football and basketball.
Yeah.
And then an incident happens. Of course, it happens to, Duke. And when it happens to a blue blood like that, there always has to be a call for things to go away.
Yeah.
I guess I don't like that. Do I think court storming in football or in basketball and then field storming in football has become a little excessive? I do think that has happened. Like, for example, in football this year, Colorado storming the field against Colorado State, I think was a little much. It's different when Tennessee is storming the field after beating Alabama on a game-winning field goal at Neyland Stadium last year, whatever it was.
All right.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. I do think it's a little excessive, but do we need to just completely scrap it? I don't know. I think that's a little excessive. We just need to legislate it a little better.
Yeah, I think we do. Just let the other team get off the floor and then let the students pour on and because why are they doing it? For the gram, right? For the Insta. They want to have their picture down there on the floor.
Right. Like I even remember when UCF
I did it after FSU beat Florida a couple of years ago.
Right.
My kids didn't want to go, but I did.
I remember even when UCF throttled Oklahoma State this year in football, they didn't let them storm the field immediately after the game. In fact, they didn't want you jumping over the railing or whatever because it's like a tall, I think it's
high.
It's pretty high and people could get injured obviously. So they made fans go to the corner of the stadium.
Yeah. Do it.
Where the band usually comes out and they had them waiting there and they let the field kind of clear out a little bit and then they let them run on.
Yeah. Perfect.
I don't think it took away from the moment one bit.
Yeah. And wow, what a solution. It's not that hard.
Right.
Folks. Not that hard, people. Let's not overthink this. Let's just do it in a little safer manner. Not a problem. But one other college basketball note. I saw the Rick Pitino Colonel Sanders suit he was wearing yesterday. The white suit.
I thought it was more Miami Vice a little bit too.
Yeah, I guess whatever. Mr. Clean. He said the players wanted him to wear it or whatnot. And this comes a week after he ripped his players publicly, which of course brought a hailstorm down on him. Oh my God, how could you say that about your players? I'm like, have we gotten that soft? I mean, it did. Even to me, saying, well, it seemed a little excessive. I mean, he was just being honest about his players. I don't know. It didn't. I thought there was a huge overreaction to that. Way, like he had, called them some horrible name or something.
Rick Pitino is a very, I would call, divisive figure.
Yeah.
In college sports and to his own doing, by the way. It's not like he's a victim or anything. It's of his own doing. And everything he says is going to be magnified. And I guess the thing is, it almost sounds like he's speaking out of both sides of his mouth because he goes and criticizes his team very publicly and talks about, how frustrated he's been all season. And yesterday after they get a big win, he talks about, this is the closest group I've had since Providence and everything. And it's like, hey, you're talking about both sides of your mouth just a little bit there, it seems like.
Well, they're close. They're all very unathletic. They're close. That's what he meant.
You got a point. Maybe that's what he meant all along.
Yes. Yeah, they're all very unathletic.
I don't know.
Slow.
We want these coaches,
can't guard without fouling.
I mean, we want these coaches to be honest, do we not?
Yes. I mean, since when did it get so bad that you can't criticize your own players? You don't know what the relationships he has with the players, and it's if it's true, it's true. I mean, what do you get peppered with questions from from the media about why your team's so bad and why they foul so much, and you're like, well, we're just not that athletic. we're slow, and guess what? Something worked, something clicked, because they had the biggest win of the year.
Right.
Maybe sometimes a little bit of tough love ain't so bad, folks. Everybody don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Don't want anybody to get upset. Well, maybe sometimes you need to hear that you're not very athletic. Go get better. And you do. And maybe it makes you better. Criticism is not the worst thing in the world, folks. Sometimes, in fact, it's much needed. It's much needed because if if everything you get is, people blowing smoke up your skirt, then you're not going to get better. You need to be criticized. You need to be, for, people that, and do it in a constructive way. Maybe it wasn't the most constructive way that he approached that, But sometimes some public hand wringing is not a bad thing. We say it all the time with Todd Bowles and Bruce Arians and the different levels. To me, sometimes some public scorn might motivate people.
Yeah, and if you look at it where Pitino's coming from, he's seen what it's like to win at the highest level, whether that is Providence, Kentucky, Louisville, and even Iona. I mean, he went 27-8 last year at Iona and made the tournament. He made the tournament 2 years at Iona,
right?
For crying out loud. And now he comes to St. John's, and it's a program that's been down for a little bit and does have some rich history. And of course, he wants to win. He wants to win. He's not getting any younger. All those things. He's got standards, and when they're not being met, then you see what happens. I mean, that's welcome.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem. There was a saying when we were kids: "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me." We would every kid was taught this, and it's like, yeah, doesn't matter what people say. Who was it that had that quote? I'm paraphrasing here, but somebody said this: is that people who get hurt by words have never been punched in the face. You know, it's like, that's hurts. The words, whatever. Get over it. We're so protective of people's emotional well-being. Like, oh, it's like listen, like, oh, stuff on Twitter triggers me. Well, then get off Twitter. It's not Twitter's fault. That's your fault. If you can't handle criticism, don't put yourself in the public eye. You know, you have choices.
That was Chris Rock, by the way, who said
Chris Rock. Is that who said that? Exactly. I mean, why have we got so soft that my coach can't sit at the mic and go, yeah, we're not very athletic?
Is it a college thing because he's calling out college players? Is that a thing?
They're college kids. I mean, they're 19, 20 years old, for God's sakes. They're not 4 years old. Are they going to go crying? You know, I don't think you should be getting in the face of a 5-year-old and telling him he's unathletic. Okay, that's a little much. But they're in college, for God's sakes. They're on scholarship. They got NIL deals.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like in college, it usually like when the team doesn't, reach the standard, it's usually like the head coach is supposed to, like, we have this thing where the head coach is supposed to take the accountability,
right?
And the head coach is, and I'm not saying that's not a true statement either, but there's always two things. It's always coaching, and it's always certain things that are going on with the players. It's never one or the other.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you this, there's probably a St. John's player or many, when they heard that they're unathletic, went, yeah, they're on the floor every night. And there's guys that blow by them and they're like, yeah, man, that guy's, he's just, you think that came as a surprise to them? Those players? No, it didn't. Because I'm sure Rick Pitino's probably said that a lot in his coaching to these kids.
Yeah, it's like being a player for John Tortorella in Philadelphia, and it's a young team that he's coaching, and then he gets in the media. He's very blunt about, we stunk, and he calls out players and everything, and it's like, well, if you're playing for John Tortorella, it's kind of what you expect.
I mean, and these are professionals,
right? Jesus
Christ, if you can't call out professionals, if they're that thin-skinned, get them off your team. For God's sakes, if you can't be called out by your head coach for your play, and that bothers you, there's something wrong with you. I don't want players like, if I'm a coach, I don't want players like that on my team. And listen, first and foremost, you have to build a relationship with your players, and Bruce Arians did a great job of that. You know who wants to be coached hard? Tom Brady.
Yeah,
Michael Jordan. The great ones want to be coached hard. They don't have problems with their coach telling them they need to be better at this or need to be better at that, or doing it in the public forum. The greats don't have a problem with that because it just gives them more motivation. It just gives them more motivation to be better, and that's what they're always looking for. If you're so thin-skinned that your coach saying, you guys are unathletic, that's a you problem. I'm sorry, that's a you problem. Get over it. Get over it and move on. So I don't have a problem with what Rick Pitino did. And look what happened. The guys stepped up and played their ass off and won a big game. Shocking development. Sometimes that old school stuff can work. You never know. All right, we'll take another break. We'll come back. We're going to talk some Rays baseball. Want to talk some Rays baseball? Some on the field Rays
baseball. Always
baseball.
down for some Rays baseball.
Come on, Nick. We won't even mention the stadium. Not once. Whoops, I just did. We're brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. My good friend Charity over there, she always takes care of me. And all the great agents over there. Customer service comes number one at Italiano Insurance. She was helping me with my auto claim with Progressive, and she waited on the phone for 45 minutes while they, put you in voicemail hell, and did that for me and got me the information that I needed. And that's what they do over there. Not only do they find you great rates, but when stuff goes down, they can help you with claims and all that other stuff. So it's Italiano Insurance. Get that great customer service, 813-877-7799, and tell them JP sent you. All right, back at 3 with some Rays talk. Stay with us.
JP here for
You're listening to The Strike. 102.5.
the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Start the new year with a new diamond from the Gold and Diamond Source. It's still engagement season. Where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source? Of course, I just got mine there. I'm engaged. You should do the same thing. Let's go. Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of engagement rings in the country. A literal jewelry superstore with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. And if you have a loved one or a special person in your life who has a birthday this month, maybe you have an anniversary coming up, you can get 15% off the January birthstone, which is garnet, as in garnet and gold for all your Seminoles. Celebrate that mythical national championship. And it's the Gold and Diamond Source's 40th anniversary. For the past 40 years, they have taken pride in offering only natural diamonds formed over billions of years from the Earth's incredible forces. And gold prices are at an all-time high. Now's your chance to turn your jewelry box into a cash machine. It's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
This is The Strike. 102.5 WHPT, HD2 Sarasota, Tampa, St. Pete.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. As you just heard, we are now on The Strike, 102.5 HD2. So lock that in on your FM dial. If you have a car made after 2016, yes, you have HD radio built right in there. So just lock that sucker in. And then every day from 10 to 12, you can listen to us and also listen as a podcast on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, or you can go back and watch it on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, many ways to get the show. So we thank you guys so much for joining us. as our numbers continue to go up and up. We really appreciate it. Had a big football season, lots of big numbers. So thank you guys for joining us, and tell your friends about the show. I'm always amazed, Nick. So we've been doing this for what, 3 years now? People coming up to me, hey, I missed you on the radio. It's so great. I found your show. I'm like, hey, thanks. Appreciate it. So we're still under promoted, but hopefully people are finding the show more and more. So we really appreciate that. All right. So the Rays got a tie game yesterday, 9-9 after being down 9-3. Yu Chang hit a bomb, and suddenly they've got a log jam at the shortstop infielder's position. You got Basabi, who's definitely shown some signs of, he's a talented young player, but I still think a little bit raw. You got Caballero, who they traded Luke Raley for. You've got Taylor Walls going to come back from a hip injury. They just signed Ahmed Rosario. Who else is in the mix there?
Curtis Mead as well has gotten some play at the infield positions. And then, of course, Junior Caminero is in the mix.
Who's not even mentioned here. I mean, as a guy that's going to make the team coming out of spring.
Right.
So they're holding off on him for whatever reason. I mean, is it even possible for him to have a great spring and win a job?
He could force their hand. There's no doubt about it. But, I think traditionally the Rays are probably going to keep him. I mean, listen, he didn't get much play in AAA, if we're being completely honest, before he made his debut last year in the majors.
Right.
And it's not like he came up and set the world on fire or anything.
Right.
So maybe if he goes back down to AAA, which I would expect at this juncture.
Yeah.
I mean, a month tops, maybe. I mean, this team, if there's one thing that we know, they rack up injuries as well. Not that we're wishing those or anything, but that's just inevitable, it seems like.
Well, we have a new turf this year.
We do have a new turf. That is true.
So hopefully that will help.
Yeah. I mean, in general with the Rays, I mean, it's not a bad thing. They have a lot of competition at a lot of spots. Even in the outfield, they have a little bit of a logjam where DeLuca, who they got in the Glasnow trade, he's not a guarantee to make the roster. Palacios, who they got in the trade for Kittredge with St. Louis, he's not a guarantee to make the roster. And then Jonathan Aranda, I thought he was going to be a lock this year to make the roster. But when you look at it, and it's very likely the Rays are going to have 13 position players on their roster, and if you start counting the names, I don't know if Jonathan Aranda is going to make it out of camp, barring a trade. And it feels like the guy that seems like the most likely to get dealt at this point is Harold Ramirez. That's what it seems like at the moment, because I think that's who is blocking Jonathan Aranda right now is Harold Ramirez,
who's slimmed down.
Who has slimmed down.
The slimmer Harold Ramirez, who said his secret to losing weight: don't eat after 7:00. I don't know if I can't do that.
I could never.
I eat dinner at 8:30.
Literally, we're lucky if dinner's on the table at 8:30 over here.
Right? Don't eat after 7. What are you going to bed at 9?
Apparently. I mean, I appreciate the commitment from Harold Ramirez. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
I love that, and he looks he does look a lot slimmer. And he hit a home, or I don't know if he hit a home run. I think he hit a double. What was it?
I think he hit a home run
in yesterday's game, or it might have been a home run. I forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think though he's probably still a likely trade candidate at this point. If anything, not to get a big piece back necessarily, but just to free up a spot on that 40-man, because I think they do want to see Jonathan Aranda get some play, because what else does that guy have to prove in AAA at this point?
Yeah, he's not. He's dominated pitching, and which is weird. I've always thought that he would be better at the major league level, and he seems to, barrel up the balls. But so I think the contact is there. Eventually, they're going to start falling for him, and hopefully that's this year. He could have. I mean, if he could hit 320. That's stuff that he's done in the minors. It's a huge help for this team. That's going to be. I think. It's so weird because in the regular season they seem to be fine offensively, but in the postseason not so much. So you hate to you compliment them offensively after what you've seen in the postseason. But the fact of the matter is that during the regular season they were good. Yeah, they won 99 games, scored a lot of runs.
Yeah,
so
their strength last year was offense. Their pitching was still good, but their strength last year was offense. And who's missing from that offense this year that was on it last year? I mean, nobody.
Yeah,
It's a lot. It's the same guys, and you're expecting to get. And again, last year were breakout seasons for Josh Lowe and Isak Paredes, and you'd like to think that that's going to continue.
You would hope.
You would hope.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting. There was a lot written about Josh Lowe in the Times and on MLB.com, and I didn't even know this. I mean, the numbers he put up last year, like the slash line that he had, the home runs, the RBIs, and the stolen bases, it was a stat line that only Ronald Acuna Jr. put up around the league.
Wow.
And he was one of 7 players in the majors to record at least 20 homers, 30 steals, and 30 doubles.
Yeah.
And all the other players got MVP votes. Ronald Acuna, Lindor, Corbin Carroll, Kyle Tucker, Julio Rodriguez, and Trey Turner.
Yeah.
That was Josh Lowe last year.
Well, he was, I mean, his first half of the season was spectacular numbers.
Right.
You know, he was up there with all those guys you just mentioned, and, you know, it tailed a little bit at the end, but had a great year. So and you expect him to get better. You know, the more comfortable he gets in the major leagues. I mean, his first year was a bust. Last year was a bang. And this, you would expect him to continue because he's such a great looking athlete. I mean, look, just the size, the speed, just the athleticism there is, you know, part of what we're seeing in the game these days. You know, he's a stud. He's a freaking stud.
And quite frankly, if the Rays are not going to spend money to go acquire a already proven big bat in the middle of your lineup,
he's got to be.
Then you got to establish him organically. And it looks like you have it there with Josh Lowe. It looks like you have it there with Isak Paredes. And then you have so many other guys waiting in the wings. Randy and Yandy are already set in stone.
Right.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I feel like it's like 2 separate conversations. By no means am I trying to shade the Rays. It's just, it's like you play the regular season and we know what's going to happen and we're going to enjoy it. But then we're always just going to be like, okay, let's see what happens in October.
Right. Exactly.
When are you going to flip this narrative around?
Exactly.
It's 2 conversations, I think.
Yeah, but you could sit here and go, okay, you know, Yandy was the batting champion. All right.
Yep.
Josh Lowe has MVP type athleticism and numbers as of last year, you know, on can give you those. You know, Randy's a 30 home run guy as well, who's obviously can get you steals. It's fast, athletic. So he's a run producer. You know, and just think if Brandon Lau could freaking stay healthy and give you 35 bombs again. I mean, think about that for a second. If Paredes can give you 30 bombs again, you're not going to get much out of the catching position, clearly. They're looking at freaking Mejia back. So, you know, but it is what it is. At least be good defensively. Maybe that will help.
They were horrendous last year defensively. Forget that.
Yeah, exactly. And then Siri, you know, Siri's such an exciting player. If he could just chill a little bit and not do stupid stuff on the bases, he and Randy, and just be smart and use that athleticism and speed as a benefit, which it mostly is.
Well, he needs to get on base.
Yeah,
that's my big thing with Jose Siri is, I mean, 25 home runs in 101 games. That's outstanding.
That's
outstanding. But what's not outstanding is striking out in a league high 35.7% of your plate appearances.
Yeah, that's
only getting walks on 5.5% of his plate appearances. The guy was never on the base path.
Yeah,
quite frankly, make a difference there.
No, I just imagine if you could, you know, cut that strikeout margin down to about 20%. Because here's the deal, you know, how many infield hits are you going to get by just putting the damn thing in play? Just put it in play with that speed. I mean, come on. And I will sacrifice the power numbers. I'd rather you hit, you know, 10, stop swinging for the fences, give me 10 home runs and, you know, get that strikeout ratio down to 20%, 15%. I mean, 20% still ridiculous.
It would add a much needed, like a profile to this lineup because you already have 4 or 5 guys ahead of Jose Siri who are going to hit enough home runs. I think.
Yeah.
I still think they need like I mean, Yandy kind of is this. He's kind of become the all it can do because I was going to say they could use like a table setter type of guy, but Yandy is that. And he also has added power to his game, which is a nice plus for him.
Mm-hmm.
So he is that guy. But just in looking into build a more, structured type of lineup, I think Jose Siri getting on base more, stealing more bases. Like he got 12 stolen bases last year. I think he could steal at least 20 if he got on base just a little bit more and changed up some things.
I agree. So it could be an exciting season. You know, I'm still worried about the starting rotation. Trevor Martin will start today against the Orioles. He was highly ranked prospect. He played at Class A last year. Then we'll get Zach Littell, Ryan Pepio, and Zach Eflin for the rest of the week. So we'll start to see more of the guys that are going to be in the rotation. Rosa Reyna and Brandon Lau set to make their spring debuts on Tuesday. When do we see Uwasawa pitch in a game? Well, obviously he's not starting to be, but he'll probably be in one of these games this week, though.
Yeah, he'll be coming soon, and there's a lot of excitement around him. I know Kyle Snyder said that you watch him, and it's very fun. There were so many people gathered around his pitching session.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to blow you away by any means. I think his fastball only got up to 91 during a 30-pitch session.
Yeah, it ain't about that. Yeah.
It's not about that whatsoever. And by the way, 91 is higher than what he was throwing last year for the Nippon Ham Fighters, as they call them over there in Japan last year.
The Ham Fighters?
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the city name because I'm going to butcher it.
Right.
But the name of the team is the Nippon Ham Fighters, which is by the way, a badass name. The Ham Fighters.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't agree with that. The Ham
maybe
Fighters?
It's a little AAA, maybe a little bit.
Okay. So I saw this story the other day. Here's the headline from Mark Topkin. How Bad Bunny, Travis Scott, and Ken Griffey Jr. joined a Rosarena's world. Engaging Ray's outfitter, Randy Rosarena's rising stardom has crossed him into the pop culture world with more to come. Yeah, he was last summer when I was doing the Pro Padel thing. He showed up with Daddy Yankee. So he's buddies with him, and I guess that's kind of got him into this other world. So he's become this culture icon around the world now. That's our man, Randy Rosarena. Of course, the Rays are going to let him walk for nothing. So how about that? Will that get him a little? I don't know. Will he be distracted? I don't know the Travis Scott thing worries me a little bit after that Grammy performance. I ain't I'll lie. That has me a little bit.
I don't know. He seems like the kind of guy who, I don't know. He's starting to get more in the spotlight anyway. He is the face of the Rays. There was a difference in being the Kevin Kiermaier type face of the Rays,
right,
and being the Randy Rosarena,
right,
type face of the Rays.
Yeah, that's a whole different deal.
It's a whole different deal, and I think he's marketable from the MLB standpoint because of what he's done in the World Series, what he did in the World Baseball Classic. I think he likes that. He thrives off being that guy. It's almost one of those things where you look at what he's paid and you look at where he's playing. It's if that guy played in a big market, you would see him being a even bigger deal, clearly.
Yeah.
But even the fact that he's been able to make himself a star in Tampa Bay, I think says a lot about his star power already. So I don't think that affects him one bit.
So it said he was ecstatic to be among 9 players mentioned in a recent song, Nadie Sabe. I'm sure I'm butchering this, my gringo Spanish. By a worldwide rap Bad Bunny, who sang in Spanish, I impress myself like Randy Rosarena. All right, you get a line in a Bad Bunny song? That's good. Then he said he connected directly with another big-name rapper, Travis Scott, going to Miami to meet him, attend his concert, and work on some type of upcoming secret for now collaboration. We're collaborating with Travis Scott?
Apparently.
Okay. He said, we've got something in the works. We've been working together on something, so that's how I was able to connect with him. Okay. All right. We'll see.
You seem so skeptic over there.
Well, who was it? Antonio Brown. His rap career, I think, definitely detracted from his football career.
Speaking of Antonio Brown, over here at my campus this weekend.
I know. How about
one of the most bizarre, unlikely things I think I've ever seen. Apparently his son is a basketball recruit.
Yeah.
And he took some kind of visit to UCF this weekend. They were playing Texas Tech at home, and UCF gets the upset victory over Texas Tech. And Antonio Brown's in the locker room after the game, celebrating with the team, and they're playing his rap hit, if you want to call it.
It's a hit.
Put that ish on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's wearing the most obnoxious outfit. I mean, it's full Antonio Brown.
I'm sure he wasn't wearing a shirt.
Well,
or
he was
some type
wearing
of
he was
vest
wearing
that-
one of these like big coat type things that was like fur, it looked like. And then he had these like just weird boots on, kind of.
I thought he was in jail. Isn't he like he ran out on the arena team?
I can't.
Didn't
Nobody
pay
can track
them.
what's going on with Antonio Brown. He's just
He like doesn't pay anybody, and then it gets arrested, and then like how now he's in the locker room at UCF. Okay.
Yes. It was very bizarre. It was very, very bizarre.
I just don't want Randy to get distracted. That's all I'm saying. I don't want him to get distracted. I want him to zero in on baseball. Let's not get too, crazy. Let's, it's still baseball's still your thing. Still your thing. That's all I'm saying. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back and talk some Buccaneers. Want to talk some Buccaneers? Let's do some Bucs. Combine begins today. What are they looking? What and who are they looking for at the Combine? We're brought to you by the Golden and Diamond Source. Always a great time to get on over to the Golden and Diamond Source. If you screwed up Valentine's Day or screwed up a birthday, make it right. Go to the Golden Diamond Source. Get something shiny for your lovely wife, girlfriend, or both. Whatever you like to do. And you can always get 0% financing, folks, 3 to 5 years, 0% financing, and always the best selection at the Golden Diamond Source. 3800 Homerton Road, always online at the goldendiamondsource.com. Back in 3 with some Bucs talk. Stay with us.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, well, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on a Monday. We're doing a little pre-recording here to get to some press conferences that we need to get to today. Upcoming at Feather Sound Golf Course is going to be a LPGA event, or I should say the European Tour of the ladies coming to Feather Sound. So that should be interesting. We'll tell you more about that tomorrow. In the meantime, we're going to hit the Bucks because they are at the Combine today. It's one of the things that happens at the Combine also are agents getting together with teams, and that will probably happen with Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, which, the Baker Mayfield thing has been going on for a while. They've had ongoing talks since the end of the season, but now it's getting down to crunch time, right? The numbers they've kicked the numbers around back and forth. Now they're going to get to the point where they're like, okay, we're going to do this before you hit the market or after you hit the market and you establish your value. Because the Buccaneers have, they've done that with some players, Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis, some other players, let them hit the market and then they come back and sign with the Buccaneers. That's certainly a scenario here. I think the Bucs would rather not have Mike Evans, especially hit the market, because I think that's a bit of a wild card. I think there's probably a lot of teams that will look at his age and not want to give him, a 3-year guaranteed contract, closing in on 75, 80 million. But there's other teams out there, maybe like the Houston Texans, who are salary cap heavy in terms of availability, have a need at that position, and certainly could use something, in the veteran realm to help CJ Stroud, who obviously had a tremendous rookie year as well. So, and that's where he's from, the Galveston area, so right near Houston. So that to me is a little bit of a wild card, and I think Jason Light would rather, him not hit the open market to see, but he can't overpay if it's a situation where, and the word is that they're not close on a deal. That's what we've heard. So, it may be a situation where Mike does hit the market and there's a chance he might get away. I think I can't imagine him not allowing the Bucs to match any offer that he receives, though.
Yeah, I think deep down we all would like to think that Mike wants to stay in Tampa Bay. It's always been a great fit. For 10 years, he's been Mr. Buccaneer.
Yeah.
He just has been that guy. The game is not lost the game is not, tailed off at any moment, at any point right now. In fact, at 30 years old, you could argue that he looks fresher, he looks faster, and he's a more complete receiver now. I'm not going to ignore the fact that for most receivers, when you hit that magic 30-year-old mark, there sometimes tends to be a point where you hit a wall.
Oh, yeah.
That does happen. Now, the great ones usually don't, though. Like Devontae Adams is like 32, and he's still, putting up big numbers and all those things. And I think Mike Evans is definitely in that sort of category of receiver. And realistically, I mean, depending on how many years it ends up being, I mean, in an ideal world, you'd like to see Mike be as productive as he is now for, 2-3 more seasons. I think that's fair, probably during the length of the contract that Baker gets, which I think at this point is going to be a 3-year deal. I think that makes sense for both parties. But again, I think the Bucs are going to end up getting both of these guys back. It's a long time, from the season ending and then getting to free agency. And there's all this talk about what's going to happen, and it freaks people out and all this kind of stuff. And you see the report yesterday that Jeremy Fowler put out that Mike wants to retire as a Buck and everything, and everybody runs with that one. But this is agent stuff, It's all leverage. That's what the stuff comes down to. I think Mike's going to test that market and see what that number is, probably report back to the Bucs, and they'll make the decision if they want to match it or not. And I think Baker Mayfield is probably going to come after Mike, because it seems like Baker is going to keep a close eye on what Mike does first. If Mike walks from the Bucs, if that scenario happens, I think your chances of getting Baker back go down a little bit.
I agree.
I truly believe that.
I agree.
What helps the Bucs, and this helps the entire league, is pay attention to what happened on Friday. The salary cap just went up $30 million.
Yeah. As we told you it would. Yes.
$255 million or whatever it is. So this does help the Bucs, that if you wanted to get a little bit over whatever your magic number was with Mike, Well, now you have some flexibility to essentially give him whatever he wants.
Of course, everybody else has that as well. So it's,
correct.
Whatever,
I feel like
whatever
if two
number
teams,
Mike had in mind, right? Then, it's closer to that reality.
Right. If two teams, the Bucks and somebody else, are offering him, let's just throw a number out there, $28 million, and that's the number. Do you think Mike Evans is going to be like, okay, I'm going to go play for the other team now? I don't see that happening. If the Bucks match the number, I think he's going to come back to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and I think they would. It's a situation where, look, the Glazers do not want to retool. And neither does Jason Light, neither does Todd Bowles. Nobody wants to rebuild. Like it's not time for that. You got too good of a core. You've been to the playoffs 4 years in a row. You've got some good young developing players. This is no time to give up on the core guys. And Baker Mayfield's 28 years old. It's not like he's some 35-year-old veteran, right? I mean, he's got upside. He can throw the hell out of the ball. He's got an underrated arm. Hell, he won the Pro Bowl throwing competition. I mean, what are we talking about here? Come on. I mean, that's gotta stand for something. So, I mean, he can rip it, and familiarity, continuity on offense. You bring this whole group back next year. What they finished 21st in scoring. Yeah. You could easily move that into the top 15.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking. And I think that's all we're asking for, realistically.
Yeah. I mean, that's a real, and plus, as we move on to what's going on at the combine this week, there's one guy that I think everybody would be over the freaking moon if he was there. And that's Oregon center Jackson Powers Johnson. This guy will be at the combine. He's going to impress. He's 334 pounds. 334 pounds. And as Daniel Jeremiah said, NFL scout, it's hard to find guys that big that can move like that. He's 334 pounds. You can't get through him. He just kind of catches guys and absorbs them. In pass pro, he is quick to the second level and good on combo blocks and run blocking. And so it's got some nasty to him. He is a bulldog, got some real snap and pop in his hands. So very, Ryan Jensen-esque. He's a big boy. I don't know if he lasts to 26. If he does, throw a party because the Bucks will run to the podium with the card and have their center for the next 10 to 12 years. And maybe this is a point where Jason Light is not afraid to move up. He may move up and get him and spend some draft capital. And I think it's a critical position. I think it's a position of need for the Buccaneers. And when you combine those two with a guy who most everybody believes can do it for 10 to 12 years, I mean, you got it. That's a big opportunity. And I think if you're the Bucks, you got to seize it. If you got to move up, 5-6 spots to get him, and does that cost you a 4th round pick? Then do it.
Yeah, and by the way, even if they wait or even if they don't move up, because I don't think he's fallen to 26. I think what he's done since the season has ended at the Senior Bowl clearly put him in. I mean, he wasn't even seen as a 1st round guy, I don't think, until the Senior Bowl. Right. And now I see him in the top 20 in most of these mocks and stuff. I have to think he's going to kill it at the combine, and he's probably going to be a top 20 guy, even at the center position, which traditionally you don't see that position go that high.
Right.
But even if it's 26 and he's off the board and they don't move up, I still think they're well positioned. If they want to address that position in the 1st round, put this guy Graham Barton on your radar from Duke. He played left tackle. He's got short arms. He's going to kick inside. Probably not play center, but he'll at least fill your need at left guard because left guard is just as big of a need on this team as center is.
Yep,
we know that. Aaron Stinney and Robert Hainsey cannot be your starting left guard center combo next season if you want to get to where you want to be. I don't see that happening. That's duct tape at best, I think, at the moment. So Graham Barton is on my radar, and Troy Fatanu as well from Washington, another guy who played tackle. He's going to kick inside as well. A lot of experience, just played at a high level at Washington. I think there's a chance that both those guys could be sitting there at 26. And if you feel like that's the position you want to address there, depending on what the board looks like, I think they'll run to the podium. But the beautiful thing about this draft is there's so many, I think there's more players in this draft that would have a true 1st round grade on them than others. And I think that goes back to where the Bucks are picking. So I don't think they can go wrong with, if they went best player available, Hell, if they took a corner with the 26th pick and it's one of the top guys, I wouldn't hate that either. I mean, they have so many options.
And if Mike, gets away, and you'll know this before the draft, this receiver draft is stocked. It is loaded. In fact, there's another guy from Oregon that Jeremiah likes. What is his name?
Troy Franklin.
Troy Franklin. Yeah. 6'3"
burner.
Yeah. Probably going to run sub 4, probably 4.42, something like that. Big kid, can run, tracks the ball well. Lots of production at Oregon last year. I think over 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns. Yeah. 1,383 yards, 14 touchdowns last year on 81 receptions. So nobody wants to lose Mike Evans, but if they do, and you hate to take a wide receiver at the first round pick. I mean, I'd much rather get a center, an interior lineman, or an edge rusher. But by the time, there's not that many good edge rushers in this draft. So yeah, that's,
keep in mind when it comes to receiver in the first round, I'm not opposed to this because of the talent of the player and what I think he's going to be in the NFL. And by the way, just because even if you get Mike back, I still wouldn't hate this pick. The Bucs hired Brian McClendon as their receivers coach from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a nice prospect by the name of Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey is sitting. I mean, the Bucs are picking right around where Ladd McConkey is going to be sitting probably. And
a white wide receiver in the first round. Come on.
I don't care what he does not play like your typical, the stereotype white receiver. First of all, this guy
you got to get great value though.
This
You're not
guy's
allowed
filthy.
to draft a white receiver until the third round.
Yeah,
what did Cooper Kupp went? What, fifth round?
Third round, fourth round. I don't worry about any of that.
Puka Nakua's fifth round. I don't know if he's a white guy.
I look at the talent.
I say this in jest, by the way, folks. I think it's ridiculous when you label these players, but
correct.
But everybody else does, so we have fun with it. So
correct.
Just so
the talent of this player is. I mean, you saw what I know against Florida State's backups in that Orange Bowl, but he had his way, but he did that all year long at Georgia.
Yeah. Everywhere he goes, nobody can cover the dude.
You just can't cover the guy. And I think even if you bring Mike back, I don't hate addressing receiver because Chris Godwin's going into the last year of his contract.
No.
Is it feasible for the Bucs to continue paying two receivers that much money? I don't think so. And it wouldn't hurt because what else do you have behind those two guys?
Yeah. But if it's a big part of your offense, if you're a pass first offense, which we are at this point, let's not be stupid about this. The run game's still awful. Then you got to invest in those guys. And certainly if Mike gets away, I think it's an absolute first priority, to sign a wide receiver or to draft a wide receiver in the first round because you're going to get an excellent one. So yeah, I don't have a huge problem with that at all. But I think as we go through. And I think also, as I think week one, the quarterbacks are right because they do it in stages at the combine, right? I'm looking at the quarterbacks. I think the Bucs are still very much in line for a quarterback, even if they sign Baker Mayfield. I still think and there's some interesting prospects in this draft that may fall down the board. So I would be keeping, and then inside linebacker is another one. The Pewter Report guys wrote about this, and Daniel Jeremiah talked about it as well. There's the kid from North Carolina State, Peyton Wilson, who is a 6'4", 234-pound linebacker who's just can run, can play in coverage. A very Luke Kuechly-esque guy, super productive. 402 tackles, 48 tackles for loss, 15 sacks, 13 pass breakups, 7 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries. 1 forced fumble in his 5 years at North Carolina State. I mean, that's a lot of numbers for a lot of seasons. I get it, but the guy's productive. Now he has had some injuries. He's got a knee injury and a shoulder injury in college, but again, he's played 5 years. So that might hesitate a little bit on that. And then there's Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Yes, the son of 4-time Pro Bowler Jeremiah Trotter, who also projects to be a second, third round inside linebacker. And I think they got to make a pick an inside linebacker with Levante being 35 now, 34, 35 years old.
See, I think
Devin White moving on.
See, I think differently. I mean, maybe it's just me thinking that KJ Britt can play that position. And I think
KJ Britt starts this year, but like I said, with Levante being older and if somebody gets injured, who's behind him?
I see all that. I just think they have more pressing needs than addressing linebacker, because linebacker is traditionally, I mean, I don't want to phrase it this way, but for lack of better phrasing, least important position. I guess you could kind of say it's not the most, like you typically don't invest a high draft pick in those type of guys, necessarily. And I think the Bucs have more pressing needs, such as edge, such as safety, such as offensive line. Yeah. So, I mean, if they want to hit one of those guys later in the draft, okay. Taking one in the second round, I'm not really big on this. This is not the greatest linebacker class. I know the guys you mentioned by default are going to be sitting there, but I don't think it's the greatest class overall to get one of those. So I may disagree a little bit. I don't think linebackers is pressing right now as a need. I mean, I'm going to ride the wheels of Levante until they fall off. And I think KJ Britt did a bang-up job last year and has earned the right to be that guy next year.
All right, we shall see. So that's all stuff at the Combine. The Pewter Report guys are up there. I'm pretty sure they're heading up there. So I'll see if Scott Reynolds can join us tomorrow.
Yeah, and Jason Like, by the way, he's going to speak tomorrow at 12 o'clock.
Oh, good.
From the Combine, and then Todd's going to follow him at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, we haven't heard much from those guys since the end of the season. So, yeah, lots of stuff to get comments on. And I would not expect the free agency starts, March 11th?
March 13th, I believe.
March 13th. Okay, I think 11th to 13th is the tampering period or whatever.
Yes, yeah. Your deals are going to be announced before the 13th.
Yeah, so, it's crunch time right now for Baker and Mike. So Jason's going to be working on that stuff, and I'm sure he'll take plenty of questions about it. I'm not sure how much he can say, but, it's crunch time for him. They got to, like I said, they got plenty of cap room. They got enough cap room. It went up $30 million. They were already going to be able to create somewhere in the 60 to 70 million total. They had 43 bottom line, but with, expiring contracts and rework contracts, the estimate is they could get up to 70. So now you add another 30, they've got enough money to do whatever they want to do. It's just a matter of overpaying for Baker or overpaying for Mike. Just a matter of, how much do you want to do?
And knowing what Wirfs' contract is going to look like. I mean, that's a thing. That's a thing. And
he's going to reset the market.
It's going to be north of 25 mil.
But here's the thing. Cap's going up another 30 million next year, too.
It's going to keep going up, right?
Yeah, it's going to keep going up because the revenue, the TV revenue doubled. The cap's going to double.
Taylor.
Pretty much 50-50 split between those two things. So it's got to hit 400 million within the next, I would say, 5 to 7 years. So it's going up. So it's 250 this year, it'll probably be 275, 280 next year. So,
and by the way, last thing, because you mentioned you'd be looking at quarterbacks in the middle rounds. I would not hate the idea of Spencer Rattler. I think you're already seeing a lot of buzz on him. Yeah, he had a very impressive week at the Senior Bowl. Very experienced quarterback. I'll go out there and say I think he's going to have a better career than at least two of those the top 6 quarterbacks that everybody's mocking in the top round.
Yeah,
I think Rattler has a chance to have a better career than one of those guys, and as a sleeper.
I'm already starting to hear some chinks in the armor of Caleb Williams. It's starting to come.
I've been on this.
Yeah, it's starting to come out. It's like maybe not the consensus number one. It might be Jaden Daniels. Might be Drake May. Might be Drake May by the time all things are said and done.
I'm a Jaden Daniels guy. I mean,
well, you know me. I'm not a Caleb Williams guy. I think he's got great ability, but
I think
too many off-the-field issues that I have issues with.
It's less about that. It's like if you dive more into Caleb Williams' tape. And I'm not the only one saying this. I mean, Merrill Hodge said it at the Super Bowl, and everybody went, whoa. Because Merrill usually has some pretty different opinions on the draft than others. He gets it right sometimes.
Yeah.
Like he did with Johnny, where he said he wouldn't even touch him until the 6th round or something like that. And he was spot on that. Yeah. He also had the famous quote about Khalil Mack. He'd take him number 1, not Jadeveon Clowney. Yeah. He's gotten some things right. And he said that Caleb Williams is not special. And that's kind of what I see. Like, I see a guy that has tremendous trait. I'm not going to question the way this guy throws the football. I mean, he can spin it. But it's just, I hate the word generational. I cannot stand that word. It's every year. We just tag generational to somebody. Well, we did this to Trevor Lawrence. What has Trevor Lawrence become? What, an above average quarterback? I mean, I hate that tag on these quarterbacks.
And here's the thing. When you have the escapability that Caleb has, it's a wow factor, right?
It
you know,
is.
there's how many times have we seen him like just get out of things and then throw the ball down the field? It's like, wow, that's unbelievable. But that has nothing to do with quarterbacking in the NFL. I shouldn't
Correct.
say nothing. That is just an incredibly freakish athlete thing to do. And he can do that all day long. You got to win from the pocket. You have to be able to win from the pocket and sprinkle in those plays.
And I see things on tape where like he can take a quick 5 yard, 7 yard, get a first down. And it's almost like he decides on his own to pass that up and move around.
Right.
And make the special play. And everybody goes, wow, look at what he did there. But it's like in the NFL,
you take that.
And that's why everybody wants to compare this guy to Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is the best game manager in the entire freaking league. And that's not a knock. That is the biggest compliment that I can give to the guy. That's what
he just
Caleb
won
Williams,
a Super Bowl averaging like 4 yards per touchdown throw.
Right. And that's what Caleb Williams has to learn at the next level. And these are not, it's like, I'm not saying Caleb Williams is not, he probably is going to go number one. Okay. And you can make that argument. I'm not going to tell you can't. I'm just saying, stop acting like the gap between him and Jaden Daniels and Drake May. And by the way, I'm throwing J.J. McCarthy in there. I know you might look at his college career and say, oh, well, he didn't do. I don't care what he did in college.
He's an unknown.
He might be a little bit unknown, but there are some NFL throws littered all over his tape.
Yeah.
He played in an offense that didn't allow him to sling it. And I can just see that guy getting in the right system and turning into a really, really good quarterback in this league.
I don't disagree with it, but it's it's a big question mark because you haven't seen it, and you wonder, like, you had a pro coach in Jim Harbaugh. If he, why didn't he let him throw the ball more? Why? He knows it better than anybody in the room. Maybe because your offensive line and running game and defense is so freaking good, you don't have to. How do you? You can't argue with success. He won the national championship.
And he played in a pro-style offense.
Right.
He played in a pro-style offense,
but
and I think that helps him.
It makes you wonder. It just makes you wonder,
Yeah. But, I mean, I could see him going to, like, if Denver gets him at 12 and he gets to play with Sean Payton.
Well, maybe he doesn't read the field very well, and Harbaugh knows that. And, if you can't read the field and throw with anticipation, you're going to suck in the NFL. And that's why I'm not saying that's true. I mean, there's no question the dude has the physical skills. He can sling it. He can run. He's big. He's a great leader, checks all the boxes. But if you can't read the defenses and process the information and throw with anticipation, you're going to be an average NFL quarterback. All right, we got to hit one more break, and then we'll come back on the other side and finish things up. We have a Lionel Messi update, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Nick, I want to get your take on Man United and the changes that have happened there for the Glazers as they pocket some cash and give up a lot of their responsibilities. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Quick break. Stay with us. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on TrueBody and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Is getting a home equity line a good idea right now with rates so high? Well, I put that question to my good friend Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services, and he says it all depends on where you're at financially. Many of us with ridiculous inflation have been charging up those credit cards, right? At 29% interest, hoping to catch up, but that ain't happening. Those interest payments are killing you. So yes, a consolidation loan and tapping into that crazy equity in your house is a great idea. That strategy can drop your monthly nut by thousands of dollars and stop wasting money on those interest payments. Fitz, the mortgage guy, has done thousands of loans for the past 25 years in Tampa Bay. Just did one for a former colleague who was a manager for a big bank mortgage division. He knows Scott is an independent broker and can get him a way better deal than at his own big bank. AMS Tampa has way lower overhead and gives you the savings. So if you're worried about fees and closing costs, have the free consultation with Scott and look at the actual numbers. It may shock you what he can do. Be smart. Stay one step ahead. Email Fitz at scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa, or call 813-294-7595. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386-722. American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa First.
Let's go.
Right now.
Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this beautiful Monday in Tampa Bay. Hope you guys are enjoying the weather this past weekend and the concerts. Fantastic. Nick Geddes joining me here from On3 Sports. So I was watching last night the LA Galaxy enter Miami, and Messi with a late goal to get the 1-1 draw. Dude is just crazy good. So that's interesting. They're back. But what's more interesting is what happened at Manchester United. You want to give me an update on that?
Yeah, the Glazers finalized officially the 25% sell of the club over to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, an English billionaire who runs Ineos, a big company, as you know. And so he took over 25% of the operation, and he's going to be running the football side of it. Essentially, what you see on the field, that's going to be all handed over to him, is the way I understand it. The Glazers had this search for the last 2.5 years, and it came down to essentially it didn't sound like they wanted to give 100% of the club over. They wanted to still have some skin in the game. That was very unpopular amongst the United fans who wanted a full sell and a full reset of the club. But listen, the Glazers are businessmen. They're going to do what's best for them as a business overall. Right. And so 25% is given up. But the positive here, like I said, is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is here to run the football operations side. And that is the most important part because Man United has been in the dupes here for the last decade. Well below par, and of course had an awful day at Old Trafford on Saturday as well that I had to tune into. So
what happened?
They played at home against Fulham, which is like a mid-table side in the Premier League, and it was just the performance did not match up whatsoever. Fulham took a 1-0 lead, then United gets a great goal in like the 90th minute to tie it up, and then in like the 9 minutes of stoppage time, they gave up another goal in like the 95th minute, and they lost 2-1 at home to Fulham. And it was just another setback that should not happen for a Man United team. So
Radcliffe will come in and make some changes right away, you think?
Hopefully. Squad overhaul, spend more money, all those types of things that the Glazers did not seem like they wanted to do.
All righty. All right. The Bolts are back at it tomorrow night at Philly. Then they'll start a 5-game homestand. The Rays are taking on the Orioles today. Not sure where they're playing today. But Bally Sports has started their televised games. They did one yesterday. Great job by Dwayne and Trisha and the whole group there, getting some cool interviews. So we can watch baseball now, even though it's spring training. But it's interesting to see these position battles for the Rays. And, of course, we'll keep you posted on the Combine. Hopefully have some of the guys on from Pewter Report tomorrow. Scott Reynolds usually joins us on Tuesday. We'll see if he's available, as Jason Lett will be speaking at the Combine and Todd Bowles as well coming up. So, great job, Nick. Appreciate you. Thank you guys for listening on our pre-recorded today. We'll be back tomorrow with the live show. So we'll do that for you then. Have a great day, everybody, and we will talk to you on Tuesday.